Good day, learners. You're welcome once again to my channel. And for today's class, we shall be looking at squares and square roots. Now, the essence for this, especially for my YX students, before we go into solving surds, we need to understand what a perfect square is and how to even find square roots without using your calculator. All right. A square. The square of a number usually written, for example, if the number is a, the square of a is written as a raised to power 2, and that is the same as a times a. So you must understand this, the square, because it will bring us to what a perfect square is. Now, it's important for me to say this because I know most times now we use calculators, which makes our work easier. But before the advent of calculator, or if you are writing an exam where calculator is not involved, how do you find the square root of a number? I'm going to teach you the easiest method. Remember, in my channel, I teach you the easiest method of solving mathematics. So I'm going to show you the easiest method of finding the square root of a number. Now, what is a perfect square? A perfect square is a number A perfect square is a number whose square root gives a whole number. All right. So a perfect square is a number whose square root gives a whole number. It doesn't give a decimal. So we are going to be seeing examples of perfect squares. Example, we have 25. 25 is a perfect square. The square root of 25 written as this is the symbol for square root, is what? 5. It gives us a whole number, 5. The square root of 49 written as square root of this gives us what? 7. The square root of 64 gives us what? 8. All these are examples of perfect squares. All right, now I'm going to be showing you how to look for the square root of a number without using calculator. All right, now for our example 1, I'm going to explain the procedure. Now, the first thing you need to know in finding the square root without using calculator of a perfect square is you need to write out all the squares of the numbers. Now, 1 square means 1 times 1 is equal to what? 1. 2 times 2 is equal to 4. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. 4 times 4 is equal to 16. 5 times 5 is equal to 25. 6 times 6 is equal to what? 36. 7 times 7 is equal to 49. 8 times 8 is equal to 64. 9 times 9 is equal to 81. And finally, 10 times 10 is equal to 100. Now, the essence of writing this out is because when you are given a number, you check the last digit of that number given to you. It's going to tell you what the square root of that number would end with. Example 1. If I'm given to find the square root of 225, my solution, I'm going to leave this on the board here because it's going to help us. Now, this is the first step. We've written out the first step. What will be the next step? The next step is to arrange your numbers, the numbers given to you, by 2's from the right. You arrange it by 2's from the right. Now, I'm giving 225. 225. I arrange by 2's from the right. So it means these two, I'll take 1, 2. They will be together. So this is, we are left with just 2 here. All right. Now, we've arranged this from behind. This is 25. I look at it. It ends with 5. The only possibility, what ends with 5 here is what? This number, 5. So it means my square root, the square root of this number must of necessity end with a 5. I've gotten the ending part, but that is not all. I now come to 2. I come back to my table of squares. This is the table of squares. Now I look at the number given to me. The next number is what? 2. I come to my tables of square. Which number is less than 2? I look at all my squares here. The only one that is less than 2 is what? 1. And that is the square of 1. So I'll just come here and write what? 1. If you multiply 15 by 15, it's going to give you 225. 15 times 15 must give me 225. Now quickly, I'll just take example 2 without wasting time. Let's try 625. Now, I come here, I arrange by 2 and this. Of necessity, it must end with what? 5. Now I come here, 6. I now look for what number is less than 6 from my table of squares. The one that is less than 6 is what? 4. Now, what is the square? What number gave me 4? It is 2 squared. I'll come and write 2. Now, we only use 2 process to get this because they are actually direct. It ends with 5. And the only option that ends with 5 is just 1, which is this. Now, we are going to look at other examples where it's not ending with 5. It ends with a number that gives us 2 options so that we introduce the third rule for finding the square root. Alright, our example 3 says find the square root of 2401. My solution, I'm going to arrange this by 2's. So it means I'll be having 24 and 01. Now, the square root. 01, it ends with what? 1. I'll come to my table of squares. Where are the things that ends with 1? I have here and here. So 1 is 1 squared. So my numbers must of necessity end with either a 1 or 81 is square of what? 9. So my number will end with either a 1 or a 9. You can see it's different from our example 1 and 2 where the option was only 1. But now we're having 2 options. Alright, now we come to the next number. I'm having what? 24. I come to my tables of square. What is the next number that is below 24? I come here, I trace. This is 25. Obviously, it's not 25 because 25 is greater than this. So I come to the next one, which is what? 16. 16 is less than 24. All right, now I'm picking 16, and the 16 is square of what? 4. So it means my number is what? A 4. Now, what am I picking? Am I picking a 1 or a 9? The third step is to multiply 4 by the next number after 4. The next number after 4 is what? A 5. 4 times 5 gives me what? 20. I now compare 20 with what I'm having here. I'm having 24. 20. 24 is greater than 20. It means I'm picking the bigger number, which is what? A 9. So my square root will be 49. Now, if peradventure the number I'm working with here is less than the product of 4 times 5, it means I'll be picking the smaller number. But for this example, we pick the bigger number. So if I multiply 49 times 49, it should give me 2401. I've not tried it, but I'm sure when you try it, you are going to get that answer. Alright, so go to... Alright, our example 4 says find the square root of 1764. My solution. Remember, the first step is my table of squares. The next step is to arrange by 2's from behind. So I'm having what? 64 separate by 2's, and then 17 is the next digit. And 64. We are looking for the square root. Now, why am I arranging this? The number ends with what? A 4. I come to my table of squares and check what are the possibilities that ends with a 4. I have one here. This ends with a 4, which is 8, and this ends with a 4, which is the square of 2. So my number, the square root of this number given to me must be either a 2 or an 8. Now these are the 2 options I have, either a 2 and 8. Now I come to what? The next 2, which is 17. I come to my table of squares again. I look at 17. I need to look for a number that is less than 17 in my table of squares. I come here. 25 is more than 17, so 16. 16 is the next one to this. So it means my number would, of necessity, start with a 4. So how would I know if it's a 42 or a 48? What is the next number after 4? The next number is 5. So I'll be multiplying 4 times 5. 4 times 5 gives me what? 20. I will now compare here. 20. My number is 17. Because 17 is less than 20, I'll be picking the lesser number, which is what? A 2. Remember in our example 3, the number, when we multiplied, we had a bigger number, so we picked the bigger number. But for this one, we have a lesser number than 20, so I'm picking this. So my square root of 1764 would give me 42. Try to multiply it. Try at home 42 times 42. I'm sure it's going to give you this number. I'll still take one more example before we end this. Our example 5, the final example for this. It says find the square root of 3136. Remember what you're going to do, arrange by 2's from your right. So I'll be putting my 36 together and 31. So this is the square root of 3136. Alright, now 36, it ends with what? A 6. I come to my table of squares. What are the possibilities that ends with a 6? This ends with a 6, this ends with a 6. So my number will either be 4, will be ending with either a 4 or what? A 6. Now, we've gotten what it will end with, the possibilities. Now I come to this. I'm having what? 31. Now I look at this, 31. I come to my tables of squares. What number is just before 31? What square is just before 31? I come here, 36 is more than 31. So it will be of necessity what? 25, which is 5 square. So my number will start with a 5. So now, what am I picking? Am I picking a 4 or a 6? How do I do it? What is the next number after 5? The next number after 5 is what? 6. So I'll do 5 times 6. 5 times 6 is what? 30. Now I'm having 30. I compare with this number here, which is 31. Which is greater? The number or this? This 31 is greater than what? 30. Now, because 31 is greater than 30, what do? I pick the larger number. So my square root of 3136, this is 3136 is equal to what? 56. This is the answer. Now, students, I'm sure you enjoyed the tricks in finding out the square root of a perfect square. Now, in our next class, we'll be looking at surds. The essence of what we did here is because we are going into surds, and surds will just reduce our numbers into perfect squares, so we'll be able to solve quickly. Now, please, if you like this video, just click on subscribe, and you see that bell button there, click on it so that you always be notified when we drop a new video. Thank you very much.